This is Jan VanEyck. He's a northern painter. He worked in the early to middle part of the 1400s. He comes after Robert Campin of the Marodi altarpiece. This is his self-portrait with a red turban. The fact that it's a self-portrait is it might not be. It might be a portrait of someone else, but there's evidences about it that are point to that it might be a self-portrait. You can read about them in your book. Think about this one in relation to that St. Luke by Master Theodoric, and the northern trend to show things, to show people, actual people, real people, individuals, as real, to individualize a person, to make it look really specific. It comes from the notion that an individual is an important thing, that there's value in an individual. I don't think that was the case in the Middle Ages, to a large extent. And the changes that occurred that made the Renaissance happen, both in the North and in Italy, had to do with the change in the attitude towards the individual. That, combined with a desire to show the real world, real people in the real world, led to these new styles, in both places. In the North, as you see, it's the surfaces of things that they're interested in, and in people and exactly how they look, recording to the minutest detail. And as the century goes on, the abilities that they have to represent the real world and all the different textures and lighting effects and so on, increased greatly. And Jan VanEyck was the master of it. He was able to do anything. He represented all sorts of objects and advanced the art of painting a great deal in that area. His paintings, though, tend to be a little cold, a little stiff, and sort of like they're intellectual pictures rather than emotional pictures. There's hardly any representation of emotion in any of these pictures. They look like people standing and looking. We won't be until the next few artists that we'll see expression. We can zoom in on this. We have several good high-resolution images of these northern artists, because people take lots of close-up pictures because they have such interesting details. You can tell that the sitter here, whether it's him or somebody he's painting a picture of, is intently staring, and the artist has observed every detail of the face, the wrinkles, the stubble of the 5 o'clock shadow, the way light falls on the different parts of his eye, and you can see the age, and there's no attempt to idealize. It is intended to be a record of the truth of exactly what a person looked like to the best of the artist's ability. There is, to some extent, some sort of, I don't know, I guess you could call it a psychological profile aspect to it, where it looks as though the artist not only wants to record the surface, but also wants to, show the spirit of the person, what the person is like by the expression on his face. Not that the person is particularly emotional. He's just seen to be sitting and staring, but the intensity of it and the subtle. Look at the shadowing around here on the lips. Gives the impression that the lips are pressed together just a little bit, and that gives, I don't know. He's like he's thinking, and seeing, representing a person isn't just the surface. I mean, to make someone look like they're thinking requires some subtlety and some observation, and I guess that goes along with the desire to make him an individual, because he's not only an individual, he's an individual who thinks. Now, this may be his most famous picture. You have to zoom out a little so you see the whole picture. It's not a big panel. I forget the dimensions of it right now. It's probably 2 feet high or so. It's called Giovanni Arnolfini and His Bride. It's also called a wedding portrait. It has lots of names. Over the course of centuries, people have wondered about what this is all about, and you can read in your book the different interpretations. When I was taking art history, the story was that this is a picture of a man getting married. He's holding up his right hand as if he's taking a vow, marriage vows, and his bride is standing there in a wedding dress, and at his feet are bare because you can see his shoes off to the left. There's his shoes, and there's her shoes over here, and their shoes are off because they're standing on holy ground. They're performing a sacrament. There's some reference a bit that to her being pregnant, though she may or may not be pregnant. I don't know. If Northern artists representing female figures tend to make them have swollen bellies, whether they're pregnant or not. Also, this patron is a wool merchant, and showing part of the reason for the way this looks is he wants to show off his wealth, and part of his wealth came from, selling fabrics to the royalty. So he's wearing a bunch of it, and she's wearing a bunch of it, and it's just really thick stuff. He's just extravagant amount of cloth that she's got, and if you have that huge amount of cloth and she lifts it up to sort of to walk, it would be so thick here it would be like a swollen belly anyway. But she's getting married, and she's having childbirth is part of the deal. And if you look, really zoom in, you can see that there's extra things like this is Saint Margaret, with a woman with a dragon. It's Saint Margaret, patron saint of childbirth. And there's the marriage bed. All these things sort of point to this is a wedding. Though there are other interpretations that you can read about. Odd thing about it. Another clue to the wedding aspect is this signature on it says Johannes de Eyck. It's this sort of a Latinized version of Jan van Eyck's name, and a date, and it has Fuit Heek, or Fuit Heek actually. It was here instead of made this, which is what he would typically put on a picture. John van Eyck made this, but he would say he was here, and which means that he's a witness. And the script looks like a legal script for a document. And in the back, there's a round mirror. It's a convex mirror, and it's you can see the backs of the people in the room, and you can see beyond them in the place where we would be standing, looking at this picture. If the picture were real and we were looking at it. Are the witnesses. There's two people back there. I've got a closer up here. You can see there's marks in here indicating there's two people back there. They're the witnesses to this marriage. So all these things point to this is some sort of a wedding portrait, and it might be even the certificate, the actual document to document the wedding. But since there aren't any other paintings that do this ever, as far as I know, that it makes it questionable whether or not that this is an instance of such a thing. But whatever it is, you see two people in a room, and it's decked out with all sorts of wonderfully detailed stuff. And let's take a look at some of the things just to see what sort of things that Jan van Eyck can do. Let's look at the dog. Dog is a symbol of fidelity. Dogs are faithful. The word fido is a Latin word for faith. Every hair. Imagine painting this. This is just incredible amount of detail. The texture, everything about this dog looks real, except perhaps maybe he doesn't really look alive. It looked almost like a stuffed dog. But apart from that, the surface detail is very accurate. I think it's even an identifiable breed. The boards on the floor have wood grain, little nails holding them on. You can see a little bit of a Persian rug, another aspect of the man's wealth that he's showing off. But look at this rug. I mean, he's gone to extra trouble to show every little pattern and detail even though it seems to be an incidental detail in the whole picture. He just wants to get that in. Look at the details of this cloth here. Some sort of fashion design where bits of cloth are in strips and then cut into these little, I don't know what you call them, but it's something to create a texture, but I'm sure it uses up a lot of cloth and costs extra to have. And there's a fur line, probably ermine. Some gold here, lacy stuff here. The hair is made into I'm sure, an elaborate, look at this little plates here, braids. The face of this woman looks kind of generic, almost as if is sort of to look like Mary, as if the artist perhaps wasn't seeing the woman when this was painted and just painted a sort of a generic female face, whereas the man, he's getting a little creepy looking man, but it's probably a portrait of exactly what the guy looks like. The shape of his nose is pretty individualized, and his eyes and the heavy lids and the fact that he has hardly any eyebrows at all, these ears flat against his head. All of these point to the fact that he probably looked exactly like this and recorded exactly what he looks like. Look at the window. What do you call it? The embrasure of the window, the little nail heads and stuff, the bottle glass in the glass window up here. There's a few little details like the fruit, has some sort of symbolic meaning as well. How the light is observed as it comes through the window and the effect it has on the things in the room. The subtle gradation across this wall, the way the light is falling across. And the wall is not a pure wall, but has little marks and details. It has a nail in it with rosary beads, and the rosary beads are made of glass, and light refracts through the glass, and it makes these images, not only the shadow of the object, but also the way the light goes through and makes a mark of light on the wall. So the artist has observed even that. There's some sort of a brush, which I'm sure has some symbolic meaning. The architectural details that are on the bedstead that are, elaborate Gothic tracery. All these things, the cloth, the velvet curtains, little fringe up there. I didn't mean to do that. The rafters in the scene, all the lighting, everything looks incredibly detailed. But there's all of these things that I'm pointing out. I'm pointing them out specifically and leaving out this chandelier because they all could be made and observed normally with your eyes, looking at a thing, drawing the picture. There's nothing particularly magical about it. It's just incredible amount of detail. But then let's look at the chandelier, though. The chandelier is on a different order, though. This is something that is outside what I think. I'm an artist myself, and I draw things with lots of detail, and I have the ability to do this kind of thing. Yet, I'm blown away by the idea of painting this chandelier. The artist David Hockney has written a book where he puts forward the thesis that artists in the past, in beginning with this picture of Jan van Eyck, used different kinds of tools, secret tools, concave mirrors and lenses being the main things, used to project an image onto a surface so that it can be traced. And artists do that now. I mean, I do that now all the time. But artists have used things like a camera obscura, things of that nature to get an image onto a surface so that you get all the proportions right. And this looks, for all the world, like something like that was used. And there's no evidence for it apart from the fact that this looks really, really real. And the fact that if you imagine what this chandelier actually looked like in the real world, and imagine drawing it, it is something that would be incredibly difficult to get this level of accuracy just by looking at it. Especially when you think of, he didn't get that kind of accuracy with other things in the room. I mean, the figure kind of looks a little awkward. The figures look, the floor, the relationship of spatial objects are not perfectly consistent throughout the room. He didn't use one-point perspective or anything, and his observational skills are limited, I think, to mostly to the surfaces of things. He gets those accurate, and he gets the lighting accurate, but as far as the drawing and position in space, things are a little weird. So how does he get this thing perfect? This looks exactly like a photograph of the thing, and he didn't have a camera. But they did have lenses, and he did have mirrors. In fact, here's one. This is a convex mirror, but a concave mirror, if you didn't know it, can be used to project an image. If you have light shining onto a concave mirror, that light will reflect an image onto another surface. It has to come at an angle. And there's a video by David Hockney where he explains how this is done. You can look that up on YouTube. So anyway, there is a very convincing argument. There's some sort of optical device was used to create this image, or at least to get the accurate drawing of this image onto this surface. Now, once you do that, you still have to paint it, and the observation of lighting on the thing is something you can't do with any optical device, and that is wonderfully and skillfully done. I mean, look at the way the light falls on each of the arms of the chandelier, and as you can see how complex a shape it is, but imagine painting it in such a way that you render all the lighting effects, the highlights and the shadows, and the glare on it, the way the white light falls on the surface of metal. And it also does this weird thing, especially this round thing like this. If you move your head, this glare moves, so it's difficult to render accurately. Also, look, imagine the skill it required to make this calligraphy on the back. I mean, this is tiny, and yet it seems to have been done with I don't know what instrument. It would be impossible, it seems, to do something with such skill. But this is a piece designed to show off the artist's skill, and that's why the patron asked him to do it, to show off his wealth, and also to show off his taste, and the artist is showing off his marvelous skills. Now, when this same artist is working on a bigger scale, and for a church, he brings with him all these same skills and does something amazing.